Hello students, I am Sanjay sir here. We have completed chapter number 3 of your dream catcher literature, and I have discussed the important aspects of the story in 2 sessions, and today especially we will be going into the question answer exercises. And in the question answer there are 2 sections, section A and section B. Section A there are 10 questions which I will show you that how these questions should be answered and what should be the approach of a student towards this question. And the second thing in B, it is reference to context. It means there is a dialogue taken from the story. You have to locate that, where it is and who is the speaker, to whom he is speaking or she is speaking, and what does the time mean. We have some sub questions relating to that reference to context question, and we will be discussing it. Because as you have seen that the question was a bit complicated and it's too interesting too. So today we'll go to the question answer section. Hope you enjoy those things. So welcome students to this question answer session of chapter number 3, Haroun meets If. So I hope you all have enjoyed the story and you have understood it to some extent, because the story needs at least 3 to 4 readings. So in order to uh, recapture the important points and to understand the twists and turns. So finally what we see that Haroun asks how the cancellation can be reversed to that genie whose name was If, and If on the contrary tells him to take the issue up to the walrus, who is the grand comptroller at P2C2E house Gup City Kahan. If also reveals the invisible story water tap to Haroun, and Haroun then makes the most important decision of his life. He asks If to take him to the Gup City to see the grand comptroller, that's the walrus. If initially refuses, but when Haroun threatens to keep his wrench, the wrench which Haroun has grabbed in the initial section of the story we have come across, then he relents and tells Haroun they must leave that night. So hopefully the story ends there, and if we read the other series of this particular section, we'll come to know actually what happens next. So finally, we have come to the end of this section, and in section A, we have question answers. There are 10 different questions, and as per on the screen, you can see how these questions should be approached and what should be the content of the answers. Like in the first question, it is where were Haroun and Rashid? Why were they there? You can refer to your textbooks to see the question and then go to this into this slide. Now the first answer is Haroun and Rashid were on board a luxurious houseboat called Arabian Night Plus One. Rashid has been requested by a rather corrupt politician to campaign for him in the upcoming election by means of his brilliant storytelling. In order to persuade Rashid and convince him to accept the offer, he and his son Haroun are invited to stay in his houseboat. So this is the answer to the question number 1. Now in the second question we have, why did Haroun peep into Rashid's room? And second part of the question is, what did he see? So Haroun was finding it difficult to get to sleep at night. Just as he was about to doze off, he heard noises from Rashid's room next door. It was a creaking, rumbling and groaning and mumbling sound. He got up to peep into Rashid's room. In the room, he saw Rashid pacing up and down and muttering to himself. He seemed distraught about having to campaign for the politician because he has not been able to tell stories for a while. Haroun also overheard him saying that he should give up and cancel his subscription. So, third question is, why did Haroun and Rashid exchange rooms? Why the father and son they exchanged their rooms? The two exchanged rooms because they both found it difficult to fall asleep. Harun's turtle bed was not to his liking, and Rashid was having trouble with the peacock bed. Hence, they thought they would be able to keep a nice sleep, a pleasant sleep, if they exchange their beds. Now, question number 4 is a very theoretical question. It is giving that what did Harun discover in the bathroom? What surprised him the most? Now, here you have to elaborate it nicely so that the question's demand is to be fulfilled. Harun moved into the peacock room and he was almost asleep when he heard some sounds coming from the bathroom. He went over to the bathroom and to his amazement, he found the silhouette of an astonishing figure. The strange figure had an outsized onion for a head, augurbines for legs, and it was holding a toolbox in one hand and a monkey wrench in the other. Harun initially thought that it was a burglar. When he took a proper look, he saw that it was an ancient looking man wearing a huge purple turban which seemed like an onion and baggy pants that made his legs look like an eggplant or augurbines. He had long flowing beard and mustache which was delicate shade of blue. So students, question number 4 is over. Now question number 5. What was strange about the monkey wrench? The monkey wrench proved to be a strange contraption. It had the general outline of a wrench, but it was somehow more fluid than solid and was made up of little veins flowing with differently colored liquids, all held together quite magically by some unknown force. Now, question number 6. What bargain did Haroun attempt to strike with the blue haired man before threatening to call the cops? How far was he successful? Now, Haroun held on to the monkey wrench and declared that he would not return it unless the strange person told him exactly what his intentions were. If he refused to disclose the details, he would call the cops and hand him over. He was not very successful. The man was quite irritated and declared that it was impossible to divulge his mission. Question number 7, as per in the textbook, what shocking information did Haroun receive from water genie? Now you have to be very straightforward and pinpoint answer over here. The shocking information that Haroun received from the water genie was that Rashid had built storytelling process. He had never really believed that water genie existed, and now he was being told by one that his father had quit all narrative activities. For Rashid, this was a stupendous shock as he had no idea about this and the fact that his father's story water supply had been cut off upon his request. The question number 8. Why, according to the water genie, is story water essential? Now, according to if, that is the water genie, everyone can tell stories, but for stories with that extra zing, extra zest, even the best storyteller needs story water. Just as a car needs fuel to run, a storyteller needs story water as an additional ingredient. Story water is an imperative requisite, and without it, a storyteller will soon run out of ideas. Question number 9 was, what important decision did Haroun take? What obstacle did he immediately face? Haroun Khalifa decided to visit the Gulf city and meet the walrus so that he could get the situation under control and ensure restoration of story water supply before it got too late. Although the important decision had been taken quite quickly, he ran into obstacles almost immediately. He said that access to Gulf city in Kahani by the shores of the ocean of the streams of story was strictly prohibited and entry is banned. Now the last question of section A exercise, discuss Rashid's behavior in the light of what Jenny discloses to Haroun. Now Rashid, who is Haroun's father and famous storyteller, had convinced himself that he could no longer generate new stories. Ever since his wife left him, he could not come up with new stories, hence he had decided to quit. He had barely thought about cancelling his story water subscription while pacing up and down in the peacock room, and if had been immediately dispatched to do the job. If here it is that Jenny, from the head office. From the account provided by the genie, it becomes quite clear and lucid to us that Rashid has lost actually confidence in his abilities. So, students, you need to go through these stipulated answers for the questions which are given in your textbook, and your writing should be in this manner. And there are some other questions also, some extra questions. If you have any sort of doubt, then you can get it clarified. You can drop it in the email what I have, or there's a phone number available. You can give a call and get it clarified. Now, section B is a reference to context section, where that is sentence number 1 in the textbook, page number 29. All of you have a look. It is given, no kidding, enough, party is over, fair's fair, he snapped, get it, give it back. So you can come to search this line. This line is on page number 25. Okay, page number 25, it is as per on the screen, it is underlined, no kidding, enough, party's over, fair's fair, he snapped, give it back. So you must be wondering that who told it. It is none other than that water genie, because he is asking for his monkey wrench, which has been taken or in a mess. When he whirled and vanished from the bathroom, he left his wrench there, and Haroun grabbed that wrench and he made up his mind that he is not going to return it, and that's why that fellow is coming and asking for this. So the question as per here given in the textbook is, you see, that is given who is the speaker and who is he speaking to. So answer, the water genie says to Haroun. This is a straight question, so there is nothing to write or elaborate here. It is straight given. So in the question, in the answer section, you see 3A, the information that is the water genie says this to Haroun. Now the second question following the dialogue is describe the speaker. Now on the screen you can see Genie was an ancient looking man who was almost the same height as Haroun. He wore an enormous pink turban which made his head look like an onion. He also wore baggy pants gathered at the ankles, which made his legs look like augurbines. He had long flowing moustache and beard, which was a delicate shade of blue. Now, third question following this dialogue is describe the circumstances leading to this statement. Now, how will you elaborate this answer? When Haroun leaned forward to take a close look at the strange room, the wooden floor creaked, and the noise alerted the genie. Immediately, he whirled round thrice and disappeared. But in the process, he dropped the wrench. Wrench here means that monkey wrench, with which it is otherwise known as the water disconnector. Haroun rushed and grabbed it and held it close. Then the genie reappeared and made the above demand because it was his precious disconnecting tool. So he was a bit worried. So students, so from the sentence there are 3 questions, and you should go by the answer which has been given you on the screen. Then we will come to the second question. There is another line taken from the extract. My father has definitely not given up. You can't cut off the story water supply. So here you come to page number 26. Okay, if you come to page number 26, that is underlined here. My father has definitely not given up. You cannot cut off his story water supply. So my father has definitely not surrendered. My father is not like that. You have a wrong concept or wrong notion about my father. So obviously, undoubtedly, this speaker is Haroun, and he is talking about his father, the famous storyteller Rashid. So as per the question, whatever is given in the textbook, it is who is the speaker's father and what has he not given up. Haroun's father is Rashid, the famous storyteller, and the speaker is convinced that his father has not actually given up storytelling. It means he is telling that he has not surrendered, he has not told no. It's just a misconception of people that he has said so. Second question is, what prompted him to say this? The speaker said that this, when he learnt about the water genie that his father had given up storytelling, and that the genie's visit was promoted by this decision. He knew how passionate his father was about his art of storytelling and also knew that he would never give it up like that. There had to be some mistake or error. Section C, bit C question, explain how the story water supply would be cut off. Now here you have to begin the answer in this way. All the processes in Kahani happen through P2C2Es, that is processes too complicated to explain. According to the process, when a subscriber sends out certain thought beams which smack of disconnection, the authorities get to understand the need to discontinue the story water supply. By tuning into the person's thoughts, the concerned administrators understand what has to be done exactly. The Grand Comptroller, the Walrus, receives letters regarding this and then sets the water genie to work. The task of the water genie is to use the disconnecting tool to disconnect the supply of story water. So this question you have seen, explain how the story water supply would be cut off. So the reason has been elaborated in the answer and that is displayed on the screen. You can take it down in your notebooks. Now in question number 3, there is a sentence, Haroun absorbed all these information. So students, you must have seen on page number 26, there is a last paragraph, first line, Haroun absorbed all this information. Now the question says, what information had the speaker just absorbed who gives him the information? Now the answer of this question is, that is dialogue number 3, the information that Haroun had absorbed was about the Grand Comptroller of the processes too complicated to explain, who resided at P2C2E house that is located in Gulf City, Kahani. All letters with queries had to be addressed to the one and only Grand Comptroller, the Walrus. This information was provided by the water genie. So likewise students, question number 3, A, B, you read out the question and you will be getting here answers, read it and I hope you will understand and take it down in your notebooks. Now let's come to question number 4. And question number 4, there is dialect, that she blows, cried the water genie, dreaming wisely. The story tap boiler. If you see, this particular line is in page number 28. It is page number 28, the top beginning on the front line of that extract. There is a sentence on the screen, it will come. Yes, here it is. And this is the question. And the answer is follows. There are 3 questions. What had the speaker just demonstrated? What made him to do this? What was Haroun's reaction to this? Now, if you go to section 4, then I need to discuss the last question, that is section C, because it's an important question. The question is, describe Haroun's mood at this juncture. How does he react to the information that he has absorbed? So Haroun was stunned when the disconnector struck something solid yet invisible. He reacted by starting that he could not understand how story water flowed into this invisible tap or how the plumbing worked. However, by now Haroun already knew what the genie's reaction would be and said to himself that all this happened by a P2C2E. So students, the rest of the question number 4, that is A and B, you just go through the answers in this slide and you will be getting an satisfactory approach. Now come to the last section. Here the question is not about a dialogue. The question is, how did he send the message? So obviously there is a curiosity among you all, among the readers, that how the message is being sent to the controller. Now who asked this question? Obviously Haroun asked this question, and the message referred is to the request to discontinue the story water supply. Second section, who replies to this? Water genie replies to Haroun. And what explanation does he give? Then he gives that the message was actually sent through P2C2E. To give some more clarity, he asked Rashid, sent out his thought beams. The authorities tuned in and listened to his thoughts, means thoughts of his father Rashid, with the help of advanced technology. And we have not been given by the author. Now, what was that technology? He has only written about advanced technology. But what sort of technology was being applied, we don't know, because that is actually some kind of mystery in the story. So the last question is, was the speaker happy with the explanation? State his response. The speaker was not happy at all, because you know that who is the speaker here. Speaker is Haroun, son of Rashid. He was not at all happy because he was having an immense kind of ideology about his father. He retorted that there was clearly a mistake on others' part, and that his father had not definitely given up. So his story water supply could not be cut off. So it has, the story gives a message that the intense love, adoration, respect of Haroun towards his father Rashid, and because he actually nullifies every sort of accusation what has been given by the water genie, and finally he made up his mind that he would go and meet the controller and make the settle down the matter which has arisen. So students, we have discussed the literature question answer part, that's section A and B, and apart from that we have C, D and E. I hope you can answer this question as well. And the answers, this is just a preliminary chapter we have done. So you will get an idea that whenever a prose or a poetry section is being taught to you, how one student should approach to write the answers. So we finally completed this chapter, and the coming chapter which we will be discussing, it is a poem, and it is The Night of the Scorpion, written by Russell Ejical. So in the coming class we will start with this poem, that is chapter number 2 of your textbook of literature, Dreamcatcher. Hope you enjoyed the class. Okay, have a good day.